Hello, it's Ricardo and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Frontier Unlocked has just aired on the 27th of the 3rd, 2024, and on it they had somebody talking about the new version of Powerplay. Powerplay version 2, Powerplay refreshed, Powerplay rebooted. This is going to take over from the old tired version of Powerplay that we see in game, and they're targeting summertime for this as well. So in Elite Dangerous, Powerplay is a complex, and it quite is complex, optional background simulation focused on galactic politics. And therein, I think, lies the first problem. Politics. Anyway, players can choose to align themselves with one of the competing powers, essentially factions that are vying for influence and control over territories in the Elite Dangerous galaxy. There's pledging to a power, where you choose a power to support, aligning yourself with their goals. With power struggles, you compete with those powers to expand and fortify their control over other star systems. Players can contribute by undertaking missions that benefit their chosen power. And there's cycle-based systems where Powerplay runs in that weekly cycle, the Thursday tick. During this time, players complete missions to aim their power's objectives and then can be rewarded with rewards and benefits. Of course, there are credits to be rewarded with, and sometimes, well, more often than not, there's a fruity module, like Imperial Hammers, nice Gatling guns, prismatic shields, and more. Now, it's strategic gameplay, really, where Powerplay could add that layer of strategy to Elite Dangerous, but it hasn't quite worked up until now. Well, during Frontier Unlocked, they've gone ahead and they've started to allude to exactly what's going on in regards to the new version of Powerplay. But overall, Powerplay offers an avenue for players who want to engage in the galactic political scene of Elite Dangerous, such as it is. Well, what's the new one going to do with us? Well, with the Frontier Unlocked session that happened on the 27th of the 3rd, 2024, we've been given a glimpse of what's happening with Powerplay version 2. We've defined what it was, and it was pretty dire. But what's it going to be? Well, let's take a look. So the first thing to mention is that what they said was that it's going to be a polished version of Powerplay, something that is more engaging, as opposed to hang about some person's space station for 4 weeks, deliver stuff from A to B and wait for the Thursday tick and then get the module that you wanted, which is effectively what Powerplay is. Now, it seems that this is going to take the form of a visual representation of the player's effect on what's happening in that particular Powerplay faction that you've pledged yourself to. So, for example, as we can see on the screen, if you're in a station that's fortified, then you're going to have slightly different decor to something that is a stronghold, and that's a good effect as well. You see, it's the player's influence on the actual game. Now, whereas in the existing Elite Dangerous Powerplay system there are various control states that dictate the power influence of the star system. There's unexploited, which is not mentioned or shown on this video. There's exploited, which we are seeing here, which means a power has begun to exert its influence in the system. Players pledged to that power will gain a small buff to their activities within the system, like combat or trade, and also you can see little bit of propaganda is starting to creep into the stations. As we can see here, Ashling Duval has a poster up, quite plain, Imperial symbol, that sort of thing. As we move into Fortified, however, the decor does change somewhat. But anyway, Fortified signifies a stronger power presence. The buff that you get is a little bit more than what you had over exploited. It's increased, and the system becomes more resistant to being undermined by other powers. As you walk past now, you can see the decor has changed. There's more Imperial flags up there, the light has changed, and now we've got a whopping great big picture of our favourite space queen, Ashling Duval, and also some additional combat orientated ships hanging from the walls. So gone will be the graffiti as well that we saw in the previous state. it's almost as if the inhabitants of the station base planet area are now getting on board with what's going on. We're seeing more and more posters hanging from the ceiling, more banners with Aisling Duval's logo and stuff like that. And then when you get onto Stronghold, it's even more in your face. I mean, look at these whopping great big pictures. If you look really closely and you look at some of the posters as well, there's posters knocking about as we go around the second time. Look out for it as you come past this section of the Python Mark II. As we go past some of the other areas as well, you can see the Python Mark II on one of the walls where there's a shipyard stuck there. You know, you really are starting to get the feel that this is a good thing. You have Python Mark II right by there, and then you got adverts as well for, like, you know, different types of coffee, that sort of thing. This is a stronghold for a faction, and you know it's there, and it's going to take a bit of time to usurp them. And if you look through at the ship section there, you can see a Python by the look of it on the wall right behind us on the screens in the shipyard. Moving on now and to elaborate on what Frontier mentioned in regards to making the galaxy more interactive with what's happening with the powers, we have the new galaxy map. Gone are the old bubbles, which you couldn't really see what was going on, to some nice icons and coloured, sort of like topography. Is that the word I think you use for it? I don't know. Anyway, what a nice map that is. You can see who's got what influence with the nice green, with the nice pink. You've got a bit of orange knocking on there as well. So when you select Powerplay, I'm assuming that's what you're going to get. Now, Frontier do state that this is very much like a work in progress, but what they did say was that if you were to zoom in, and this is the only footage that I've been allowed to have, then you can see a little bit more. It reveals more than what the original map did. I personally think the colours look fantastic. There's obviously going to be some reference to the downward triangle and the different symbols there, I would imagine. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But it certainly does connect Powerplay into the galaxy map, and you can see it evolving as the game progresses. This next section was something that I was really looking forward to, and still am, to be perfectly honest with you. I saw this, I thought, ooh, oh, Battlestar Galactica is this. These are the Stronghold carriers, and you can see there's a carrier right in the centre, right there. And as the video plays, you'll see it's branded by a faction, in this case the Imperials. This is an Imperial Stronghold carrier in an Imperial Stronghold system, which is great. However, all these other ships, they've alluded to the fact that these are support ships, and also the fact that if you are friendly, then you'll be able to glide in and everything will be lovely. And if you're not friendly, well, then you're going to get a different reaction, and perhaps be able to do something a little bit sneaky to them as well. What? We don't know. But can you imagine an attack on this sort of like flotilla of carriers? That would be absolutely fantastic. Now, what they've said is all this that's been shown is subject to change. They've got more work to do on the galaxy map. They've got more work to do here. And they started to talk about it, but realised they were short on time. And the entire segment went on for about 15 minutes talking about Powerplay. And they probably could have done an hour on it, to be perfectly honest with you. They really could have done an hour. What they didn't mention was additional Powerplay players, as in the people who you select from the right-hand panel. They didn't mention if there's going to be any additional Powerplay rewarded items or modules. They didn't mention that. Something that we're going to have to wait and see. So will it be a rehash of Powerplay version 1 into Powerplay version 2 with a lot of the same mechanics staying as it is, or albeit polished, or are they going to give us new modules, new protagonists, new way of doing things, new missions? We've yet to find out, and that's something we're just going to have to wait and see until the summer. And the summer is when they've alluded to when this is going to pop out, around the time of update 19. So that could be, given on what they've said in the past, anywhere between July and September. Who knows? We play at their pleasure, and we shouldn't give them too much beef. all this gameplay we've seen here, all these graphical UI representations and enhancements are absolutely fantastic. For a game, don't forget, that is 10 years old, and Frontier, it's good that they're putting in the effort to make Powerplay, which is as boring as brown underpants, right, into something a little bit more whizzy. Let me know in the comments what you think. What did you get out of Frontier Unlocked? And what do you think Powerplay is going to bring? Will you be taking a more active part in Powerplay and its background simulation? Or will you be leaving it well alone and just doing enough to get whatever modules that you need? I've been Ricardo. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.